Now jumping into Vice President, we first have Ricky Kim from 12th grade.
Hope you guys are doing good today. First of all, this is our poster. Press that thing.
Yeah.
Alright. Allow me to start off with a hypothetical question. Who would you rather be stuck to? Next, lost in the middle of the jungle, like that little boy. A person who has watched every single episode of Bear Grylls and read about how to make a fire on National Geographics, like this guy. Or Indiana Jones, who has spent years of his life fighting in the jungle to find the hidden jackpot. I believe the answer is quite obvious. When it comes to practicality and efficiency, experience is the key. Of course, it's important to have the commonly called book knowledge, but will you really let a medical student who has learned about surgery operate on one of your family members? If I were you, not really. Experience is what we have. We partook in many activities, built numerous friendships, and of course struggled alongside everyone in eating the hell of a lunch we have here. We had our fair shares of meetings with teachers, ryoranchangnas, and even detentions. We made valuable connections with people both in and outside of school, through clubs and sports. Through our rough journey in Dalton, we have accumulated much field knowledge. Through our first-hand experience running the grueling 5 kilometers in Ryoranchangna, we reached out to Mr. Parmar, in partnership with our good friend Brian, to create an alternative, rock climbing. In order to better exemplify Dalton's characteristics, we connected with Mr. Monet and Chen to provide the basketball team with an astonishing jersey. For the purpose of displaying Dalton's academic achievements, we have merged ideas with Mr. Adams and former DECA supervisor Ms. Kim to earn several awards, not to mention the wide range of outstanding students who participated with us in those precious events. Let's try and get everyone while we're at it. Tammy, Yejun, Brian, and June, our first meeting in Mr. M's room for tassel. Tyler, Chen, Sunwon, Chano, our last basketball tournament at SIS. Hyunjin, Leo, Manyo, Taeyong, Yejin, simply going out for lunch during finals weeks. Jia, Seungwon, JP, Brendan, Ryan, working our heads off for KBC tournaments. Even 9th graders, Erica, Ujin, and Juhyuk. House games we used to play as middle schoolers when I was in 8th grade. We have so much more that we would love to mention. But this year, we want every single one of you guys to get involved and work alongside us. Sometimes, being field smart is more important than being book smart. Thank you.
Next, we have Colin Park from 12th grade. Please welcome him.
Let's face the truth. A portion of you are probably not listening to any of the people speaking and probably bored out by Ricky's speech. To make everyone listen, I tried for weeks to articulate a great speech. As I tried harder, I found myself going into a dark hole. A dark hole until I asked myself, why will I be standing up there? As Mr. Mosman told us to do so, I asked myself this question over and over. I stimulated this moment, this heart-busting moment of standing in front of the whole school in my brain over and over while asking the question to myself. Why will I be there in front of everyone, or why am I here right now? To give an answer to that question, I have to go back to myself in 9th grade. Believe it or not, most of you students in 9th grade have a better GPA than I did at that point. In your term 1, I had a 2.8. No, not 2.8 times 2, but a 2.8. From that point on, it was a long journey towards what I have right now, but it wasn't because I was pulling myself up, because there was always someone in front of me to pull me up. Because of this experience, I have been a believer that our community is strong. I have believed that despite our school not excelling in various areas, our supportive community is what made our school strong and outstanding. However, as the size of the classes grew, I realized that this community is breaking down, as if it's something inevitable to happen as the class grows. But is it? You shouldn't have to be outgoing to know different people, and you shouldn't have to be athletic to know different people, and you shouldn't have to be popular to know different people. Is our community for certain special individuals? No, they're for all of you, freshmen, sophomores, juniors, seniors. That includes every single one of you right in front of me and my fellow cross-country team heading on their way to Humphreys. The answer to the question thrown is very clear. I'm up here to give back, to restore our school's community and make sure that nobody is left out in this school. It is that fundamental belief that the school should be a place for everyone that drove me to run as the vice president and to stand up here. But what plans do we have? Our plans aren't sketchy, but highly realistic plans we drafted through meeting with Mr. Musselman, Ms. McGuire, Mr. Palmer, and the nutritionist. To secure our community and gather others' ideas, we will have Instagram Live, pizza forums, secure open chat rooms, and whole school student meetings to let you have a voice. To let you do what you find enjoyable. We are looking forward to changing Wiyeoncheonga, possibly bringing senior trips and field trips if that is what you want. Keep in mind, anything is possible if you want it. We're not doing this to achieve what we want, but to achieve what our community, including every single one of you sitting here, wants. Vote for Jun and Colin, because that is what this moment and the future demands. Thank you.
Next, we have some major presidential speeches. Okay,
First, we have Andrew Lee for the speech.
please welcome him.
So, you may be wondering how an imperfection could be a beautiful thing. Allow me to explain. That is a caveman, our eldest of ancestors that roamed this earth thousands and thousands of years ago. And that's Steve Jobs. As we all know, the guy who made Apple. And this is Nick Vujicic. He's a motivational speaker. So let me ask you a quick question here. Can you guys find a commonality between these three figures? I know nobody's going to answer, so I'll just answer it for you. These three distinct and very different people had two things in common. One, they were all faced with daunting challenges. And second, they all came out on top. Cavemen, back in the day, they lacked fire, so they were very unsafe during the nighttime from the wild animals. And then they didn't have warmth during the wintertime. And also Steve Jobs, when Apple was just a startup, he was actually kicked out of his own company that he built up with his own two bare hands. And Nick Vujicic was born with a syndrome that left him without any of these limbs. So how did they come out on top? The answer is actually quite simple. They followed the rules of stimulus and reaction. They quickly reacted and adapted to the environment and the situation surrounding them there and then, instead of sitting around with a pen in hand, scribbling a plan onto paper, hoping it'll get them out of their hell of a situation. I guess you could say they followed an imperfect or dynamic plan. And that's what we plan on doing. In doing so, cavemen were able to invent fire, keeping themselves safe from the wolves during the nightfall and warm during the winter times. Steve Jobs eventually returned to Apple as the new CEO, and Nick Vujicic speaks life into millions of people around the world. And that is the principle Ricky and I would like to follow. We don't need a perfect plan. You guys, each and every one of you sitting there, you guys are a stimulus. You guys can throw y'all's wants and needs, and we'll quickly react and adapt in order to satisfy that as we navigate throughout this year besides the student body. However, that doesn't mean we're completely clueless about our course of action. We want to be realistic. We don't want to overpromise. So what we're planning on doing is focusing on with working and improving with what we already have, for example, prom and Halloween parties. So no more of 30 minutes of Super B during prom or Gangnam Style videos during Halloween parties. And also we're planning on incorporating world experience tours, senior trips, and also homecoming in order to diversify and make this year a lot more interesting than it has ever been before. Thank you so much for your time.
Thank you for the coaching speech.
Next, we have Jun Cho from 12th grade. Please welcome him.
Please welcome.
Okay, 24 multiplied by 5 multiplied by 4.3 multiplied by 9 equals 4,536. Oh, math. Does anyone like math? But hear me out. 24 hours in a... Alright, here we go. 24 hours in a day, 5 weekdays in a week, 4.3 weeks in a month, and 9 months until I graduate. This comes out to 4,536 hours. Let me tell you, that is 2,988 more than the normal Dalton senior will spend on campus until they graduate. But let's be honest, living 100 meters away from school in a room that slightly resembles a cell with bars on the windows isn't pleasant. But I do notice so many things. I notice what's bad about our school, and I notice what my friends complain about. And I do notice how the lunch, and for me, the dinner, is not the best. And that's euphemism. But this is exactly the reason I'm running for president. Because this is my home now. Oh, sorry about that. I was sad, but this is my home now, so I'm gonna make it happen. Notice I'm smiling. But how with CDS? What does CDS stand for? Is it Cheongna Dalton School? Or is it could definitely sympathize with your struggles? Or is it cold, damp solitude? Or is it a cool, dope school? Yeah, maybe it's all of those. But to me, it's community, diversion, and surroundings. For community, the number one thing we want is your input, and we devise many different methods for that. Live Instagram broadcasts and voting through Instagram, secure anonymous chats so you can talk to us, whole school StuCo meetings with question forums, and even pizza forums are back. Also, we can discuss your ideas and needs. And we've also confirmed all these initial plans with Mr. Musselman and Ms. McGuire. Prepared? That's right. But there's more. Diversion. Do students really want to have the same Halloween parties, same events every year? This year, we want you to tell us what to do. For the first upcoming event, We Run Cheongna, we proactively talked to Mr. Palmer and potentially are talking about an option where you don't have to do it. You're welcome. And lastly, surroundings. Anything from overlapping lunch menus. We talked to the cafeteria to potentially not have budae-jjigae and chicken mayo on the same day. Can I get a cheer for that? Thank you. And to any personal problems that you might have during the school year can all be addressed to us. So I've been a non-StuCo student. I've been a grade rep. And I know how the student council works inside out. I've also been a secretary last year. And in a job like this, experience is important. Even Ricky said that, right? But that's not enough. Now is the time to make some real changes. How many people have complaints about the school? How many people have any little complaints about the school? I bet everyone does. But how many people have the time and resources to make some real changes? So this is my promise to you this year. Student Council will be the bridge from your ideas to real change. Okay, so lastly, to quote Mr. Rineker, I know I've been twisting this quote a little bit. High school is so great because when are you going to be in a place with so less responsibilities and so many girls? Or boys? So I said I wouldn't do any memes this year, but dump all those concerns, problems, needless responsibilities to us, and let's make the school year rock. Thank you.